Bridesmaids groomsmen of Reddit, what's the most ridiculous request you had to endure for the couple's big day? Outdoor wedding with no backup plan on the shores of Lake Michigan. Pouring rain and wind, but the happy couple requested no umbrellas because they wanted to be able to see the faces in the crowd. They were able to see the very wet and angry faces of people whose clothes were ruined while the bride and groom stayed dry under the gazebo. The groom asked me to keep an eye on his tux for signs of dandruff. He had a bad case of it at the time. I told him to choose a light colored tux, but the bride insisted the guys wear black, a color that, of course, showed every particle of dandruff. So I placed a small brush in my pocket, and every so often would dust him off as discreetly as possible throughout the day. My sister just came home from a weekend trip to Miami that the bride demanded she attend. Why Miami, you may ask? To get drunk and spend time in the sun and party all night? Apparently not. She forced her bridal party to go to Miami on their own dime, to go to some spas and be in bed by 10. She also only booked 2 hotel rooms with 1 bed each for 8 women. I advised my sister to get some better friends. My friend decided to get married at a resort in Aspen. We don't live in Colorado and he wasn't offering to pay for flight, hotel, tux, etc. for anyone except him and his wife. They were broke 23-year-olds just like us. Neither parents had the money either. It was a noon wedding and a 2-hour reception immediately following. That's it. Everyone fly home. The bride and groom didn't even stay the night. He got so mad at me when I told him we won't be able to make it. 5 years later he still doesn't talk to me. My friends were getting married, and my girlfriend and I were both in the wedding party. The bride's mother suggested that my girlfriend get hair extensions to be in the wedding to not ruin the photos for her daughter. My girlfriend has very short hair because she has Graves' disease. Her hair has become very brittle and started falling out in clumps. I'm sure it wasn't intended to be rude, but telling somebody that have to put on a wig because you don't think they look good enough to be in your daughter's photos seems pretty terrible to me. Bridesmaid to my sister. She demanded that I grow my fringe, bangs, out months before because quote I don't want anyone's hair blowing in the wind. It all has to stay perfectly still. Also, I'm quite pale so she insisted I had to wear fake tan. I originally bought a pale tan color but the morning of the wedding she made me pile it on. It was pretty hot that day so subsequently, it stained my pale pink dress. Still an amazing wedding regardless. Also, I like to think that when I get married I have 2 ridiculous request cards. 2 things she has to do and I'll bring up a wedding if she refuses. Got asked to stand up for a wedding during culinary school for a high school friend. She said she didn't want us to buy presents, but wanted us to help with various wedding things since it was a backyard wedding. Like someone help with the flowers, another do favors, table setting, etc. She wanted to know if I could help with dinner. I said sure, and asked her what she wanted help with, figuring it was prep work for someone else to do. No, she wanted me to handle the whole dinner, as in cooking for 200 people. As a 19-year-old having only done a year culinary school, she also wanted me to help pay for the food I'd be making. As their gift, she wanted me to make Caesar salad, potatoes au gratin, and roast enough ducks for 200 by myself, and pay for about half of it. I was learning how to be a pastry chef. I explained and she just stared at me blankly. I told her I could do the cake easily enough, but she insisted she wanted a real cake from a bakery. I told her there wasn't any feasible way I could do it, not only because that's ducking crazy, but because I literally wasn't trained to do it, and I got disinvited from the wedding. They apparently served bagged salad, boxed potatoes and roasted chicken from Walmart. I'm a simple woman. I see wedding drama, ask Reddit. I upvote and save. $500 pants. After I refused the bride freak because it made the wedding party uneven. Groom bought my pants. I wore them once. They divorced. He seems a lot happier with his new wife. I was the best man for my brother's wedding. I'll never forget the following directions he gave me. Hey butcher, just like Vlad, I need you to go put the flowers in the car, call the photographer, and find my suit. I'm going to go shotgun 2 beers while I take a bit. Not totally ridiculous, but it still makes me laugh. My best friend asked me to dye my hair from blonde to brown because her other bridesmaids all had brown hair and she wanted to be the only one with blonde hair. She did pay for me to get it done at a professional salon, so I didn't mind too much, and her photos did look amazing after. However, I definitely have a few friends who thought I was crazy for agreeing to that request. In college I was a best man for a wedding where the bride demanded we all wear designer suits. I had to sell a guitar to afford just the rental. I had no money before, and after I had no money and one less guitar. Then at the reception the groom pulled me aside and told me it was my job as best man to make sure their marriage went well. I was supposed to check in and help them with marriage stuff to make sure they didn't get divorced. I looked him in the eye and said, I can't be responsible for your marriage. He didn't talk to me from that second until just a couple months ago, 6 years after his wedding. It was my wife who was one of the bridesmaids. The couple was way oversexed or trashy. I'm not sure which, but they wanted the entire wedding party to do a group pic and just their lingerie boxers, except the bride and groom. Of course, she noped out of that, but apparently the other 2 girls in the groomsmen went for it. They still did the pic anyhow. Then they wanted the groomsmen and maids to pair up and kiss for a picture. None of them knew each other. Apparently she was the only one who didn't. Then they basically shamed her for opting out of both of those to the point she came and found me crying. So we went home. I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in a wedding of a male friend. I had tried to befriend the bride because the groom was a childhood friend. All of the planning leading up to the big day was a total shit show. And she used our wedding chat to constantly discuss all of her problems with the groom. Ring was too small. They never talked about finances before getting engaged and now she's not sure he makes enough. Can you get a prenup for children you don't have yet? Constantly telling us we were bad friends. Keep in mind we are all friends with the groom for many years before she was in the picture. I could write a novel about it. The final straw for me was when she asked me to plan a bachelorette party, but couldn't tell me anything about what she was interested in doing. Clubbing versus spa day versus beach trip, etc. Other than nothing too wild, but definitely cost effective. And when I presented her with a plan, told me I was a terrible friend and that was the worst bachelorette plan she had ever seen. I was replaced as a bridesmaid, did not attend the wedding, and do not speak to either of them anymore. Till I never want to be in a wedding. We went to their Jack and Jill bachelorette party in Atlantic City on Labor Day weekend. Cost a fortune for the room. He got pissed when I wouldn't gamble after paying for his steak dinner and expensive scotch. Then got loaded. Got into a fight at the nightclub and disappeared. Yeah, we don't hang much anymore. A slight twist to the question. I'm the bride. I had told people my wedding date almost a year ago. One of my friends messages me a few months ago asking me if I could change my wedding date. Cause another of her friends just set her wedding date for 3 weeks before. She told me it'd be great if she could attend both of our weddings in one trip. I don't know that this is ridiculous or that I endured it, but I was asked to be the maid of honor. I'm a dude. A manly dude. She didn't really have any female friends, at least none she could count on. As her bachelorette party proved, we settled on the term bridesmaid. It was a beautiful wedding. Edit. Holy free holies, I've never gotten more than like 8 upvotes before. Best man here. Wedding is in 2 weeks. I am not allowed to drink any alcohol until the reception because I turn a deep shade of scarlet. Bride doesn't want to have a tomato in the wedding photos. I'm Korean and to be fair I understand. I know there are remedies but I don't want to chance anything on their day. I was incredibly amused when my best friend awkwardly tried to relay this to me. My future sister-in-law has made it very clear that she wants her bachelorette party to be a week in California. We live in New Jersey. That means I would have to take a week off from work. My husband would have to take a week off from work to stay with our children. I would have to pay for my airfare and hotel and all the week's activities. And pay my share for her. Since everyone knows the bride doesn't pay for anything on her bachelorette party. When I said I'd have to see if it's something that we could make work, she basically just said, well, only the people that really love me will be there. I'm only going to get married once, so I have every right to be selfish. Good luck marrying that one or. My friends didn't want to do the bridesmaid groomsmen thing for their wedding. They also wanted to keep the entire night low-key and relaxed. I was asked to DJ, and they just entailed playing 3 playlists at the right time, before dinner, during dinner, after dinner, and turning the volume down during speeches. I've run a million events, and M said a bunch too, so this was a cakewalk and I hit every cue. But my friends are kind of particular and micromanagers, not in a mean way, but they just want to do it all themselves so they can ensure it will work right. I had to make my buddy go sit down at his table and stop trying to turn it down himself. Towards the end of the speeches, I would see him get up from across the room to walk towards me, and I would just point at him to make him sit back down. The bride insisted on both doing her own flowers, assembling all the decorations, and setting up the venue the morning before the wedding. The wedding was beautiful, awesome, and tone perfect for what they wanted, and I love those two to death, but they some serious delegation issues. My best man had to hover a 5 inches mini crown 1 inches over my head non-stop for 40 long minutes of the ceremony. A feature of my bride's Greek Orthodox Church tradition. The maid of honor visibly outperformed him, with half as many right-left arm switches. His shoulders burned for days. It was requested that I show the maid of honor a good time the night before the wedding day since she was from out of town, didn't know anyone and was in the same hotel as me. I ended up banging her. The wedding day was awkward as duck because in all the pictures we were holding hands and looking like a couple, but the whole time I did not want a relationship with her. Lots of you to our next comments from the other bridesmaids. Haven't talked to her since. Edit. Added a sentence. My sister addressed my invite to me and a male friend I had known for about 10 years. A male friend whom she had always had a huge crush on. Even better was that I had been dating my boyfriend for 2 years at this point, and my male friend was engaged. When I asked my sister why she put my friend as my +1, and not my boyfriend, she said that she didn't want some random guy in her wedding pictures. I went to her wedding solo. No surprise. She and her husband divorced 2 years later and I have been happily married to that random guy now for 15 years. I have 2 items to add. 1. Get told on Friday night that I am the best man for a Sunday wedding. That was a tough one as I had to come up with a toast and do all the rest of it. I managed to get good and drunk prior to the toast and still did a much better job than the bridesmaid who gave a very generic toast. 2. Just recently, friend of over 25 years tells me a week out that he is getting married in Vegas. I tell him I cannot make it due to multiple facts. One of them being that I just blew my knee out and am on crutches. Now he won't speak to me and calls me pompous. BC I don't like Vegas. Duck M. My friend forced her entire bridal party to write a speech for the rehearsal dinner. I couldn't enjoy the dinner. I was so nervous, but managed to sputter something out after 3 glasses of wine. Some of the others were so uncomfortable. They were either a few seconds long or had uncomfortable moments of silence. She also wanted the bridesmaids to perform a dance routine. I noped out of that one though. For our wedding, we wanted everyone to enjoy themselves. Knowing my sister and his brother would be so nervous, we said no one had to give a speech. By the end of the night, we received 2 spontaneous speeches from groomsmen, which was nice. My girlfriend was a bridesmaid and the bride wanted one of those pics where the bridesmaids lift their dresses to show their ass and the bride pretends to act all shocked. None of the girls were really down for it, including my girlfriend, since the dress was really tight and she was wearing a thong. Not to mention, the groomsmen and family members were hanging around. The bride got really upset because she saw the same kind of picture on Pinterest a few days earlier and wanted to replicate it. She stormed off in the middle of taking pictures and didn't return for about half an hour, delaying the reception and their hungry wedding guests. Edit. A picture similar to this, but in front of a bunch of people. NSFW. Girlfriend was a bridesmaid last year for her friend's wedding. Said friend organized several events for her Hindu, including expensive spa trips, cocktail making and a night out in the city. Of course, with all attending having to pay for themselves. Turned out they had dinner in Summity pub, and then the bride couldn't be bothered to go out to any of these things that she had organized. After her uni student friends, all aged between 18 and 20, had coughed up for them. Girlfriend rang me and told me what was happening at about 9 PM. I thrashed my car the whole way there and had a free cocktail making session with just me and her. Prepaid drinks at a club and a free stay in a 5-star hotel. TLDR, itty bride pulled out of her own hundo. So I went instead with just me and my girlfriend. Edit. Words caught a bit drunk. Some of you have awful friends. Australian tea tree oil shampoo is remarkably good for dandruff. My girlfriend was supposed to be a bridesmaid for a friend, but we found out about a week or two before the wedding that my girlfriend's mom, who lived in the same state as the wedding, not where we live, was terminally ill and didn't have much time left. We decided to spend that weekend with mom instead, and not once did the friend ask how my girlfriend was doing, if she needed anything. Nothing. Just pestered her for the dress which my girlfriend bought so her replacement could wear it. Way to throw away a friendship. I was a bridesmaid for a high school friend. Not a super close friend, but whatever. At the time, I had lightened my hair color and it didn't turn out well. Before the wedding I had it cut and changed back to my original color. The color I had all my life except for the awful month or so of bleach. Figured the least I could do was not subject the wedding photos to my hair disaster. I showed up for the wedding ceremony, and the bride had an epic meltdown, because now all her bridesmaids wouldn't be blue-wound. Apparently, I wasn't asked because she wanted me, just my blonde hair, I guess. In retrospect, that explained those awful candy pink dresses we had to wear, and pay for. Not me, but a friend of mine is a groomsman for a college friend of his. They're both 25. The groom-to-be is currently unemployed and lives in San Fran on his parents' dime. First, he wants his bachelor party to happen in Aspen over Labor Day. He doesn't hike, bike, or fish. He just wants to be in a place where weed is legal and sit in a cabin all day. Total cost? Around $2,200 per person. Next, he wants to get married down in Hawaii, where neither him nor his bride are from and don't have any personal relation to. Oh, and the wedding is over MLK weekend. Total cost? $1,500 per person, not including the gift. This guy wants all of his 25-year-old friends to spend close to $4,000 and eat up 2 holiday weekends to watch them tie the knot. It blows my mind how inconsiderate some people are as soon as their big day rolls around.